I'm 39 now, but let's rewind a bit to when my life took a turn I never expected. I was married to this woman, my partner of 17 years, and we've built a life together for 14 of those years. Then, like a bolt out of the blue, I discovered she was cheating on me. And not just with anyone, but with a district manager at Aramark Refreshments. This had been going on for about 2 years. But hold on, before we dive into that mess, there's a backstory you need to hear to understand the whole picture. It might even help you decide if her actions were justified, or if it was merely me settling a debt I never knew I owed. It was back in 2012 when the first crack appeared. My wife needed to have her tonsils removed, so we headed to the hospital. As they wheeled her into the surgery room, they handed me her belongings, including her phone. It wouldn't stop buzzing. Driven by a gut feeling, I checked it, only to find a string of inappropriate emails with another man from her work. They were deep in it, referencing 50 Shades of Grey, calling him her Christian Grey, a nickname I thought was reserved for me. I was livid, but there was no chance for a confrontation. She couldn't even talk after the surgery. So, on the drive home, with a mix of anger and desperation, I handed her a piece of paper and a pen. I needed answers. Her reply, scribbled in shaky handwriting, was that it was nothing but flirting. I packed a briefcase with clothes for me and our 2-year-old, and we left for Arizona. I needed space, to think, to breathe, to consult with my support team, my best friend and his wife. When we returned, she told me she had deleted her email account, promising it was a one-time mistake that wouldn't happen again. But here we are, years later, and the past seems like a prelude to a much more complicated present. Time moved on, but I couldn't shake off the betrayal. It was like a shadow over our lives, a constant reminder of a trust broken. In my heart, I felt the only way past it was to even the score. It wasn't something I planned, but then life threw me into the path of a client who seemed to notice me in a way I hadn't felt noticed in years. We started texting, a harmless thing at first, or so I told myself. My wife, meanwhile, was living her life, going out with her friends, seemingly unbothered by our strained relationship. Taking these opportunities, I'd leave our son with my mom and sneak off to see this woman. What began as an affair slowly transformed into something deeper. I found myself in love with her. About 9 months into this whirlwind, she dropped a bombshell on me. She was pregnant. The first thing that popped into my head was Usher's confessions. It felt like a sign, a push towards coming clean, so I did. I confessed everything to my wife, half expecting the world to end. But her reaction was nothing like I expected. She said she had sensed something was off and believed that God had been preparing her for this moment. When I told her I wanted a divorce to start anew with this other woman, she suggested an alternative I hadn't considered. She believed we could fix things, that through more church visits and therapy with our pastor, we could heal and be happy again. How could I refuse her offer? It was a plea for redemption, for the life we had built together. But this left me with the heartbreaking task of telling the other woman, the one carrying my child, that the future we had dreamt of together was not going to happen. A few months flew by and life threw me another curveball. My wife was pregnant. Our timelines barely 3 months apart from the affair partner's pregnancy. My wife, perhaps seeking to cement her place in my heart over the other woman, pushed for us to have another child together. By December 2014, my life had transformed dramatically. I went from being a father of 1 to a father of 3 in what felt like the blink of an eye. Navigating this new reality was chaotic, to say the least, but I committed to being there for all my children, no matter what. Fast forward to the present, And despite the roller coaster my wife and I have been through, there's something beautiful in the way we've managed to raise our kids. I've learned a lot about forgiveness, love, and the importance of being faithful. I've dedicated myself to rebuilding our relationship, believing we were on the right path and enjoying the journey of parenting together. We both travel for work occasionally, maintaining our professional lives alongside our personal ones. Yet, just when I thought we had weathered the worst of the storm, I uncovered a painful truth. For the last 2 years, my wife has been having an affair with her boss. Every work event, every supposed overtime, every business trip to places like San Diego or Portland during Valentine's, she wasn't alone. He was there, providing the warmth I thought was reserved for me, behind the closed doors of hotel rooms. This revelation shattered the peace and progress I thought we had made. It made me question everything all over again. The trust I thought we were rebuilding, and the future I envisioned for us and our beautiful children. The moment I discovered my wife's affair was like a scene straight out of a movie, only it was my life unraveling before my eyes. It started innocently enough. She went out for drinks after work, and I texted her, asking when she'd be home. She said 9 p.m., but the clock ticked past without any sign of her. Calls went unanswered, only to receive a text later. It was a photo from her, supposedly showing she was still with her colleagues, just grabbing a few more drinks. Something felt off. Why text and not call back? Curiosity got the better of me, and I zoomed into the photo, spotting a napkin that revealed where they were. Driven by a mix of concern and suspicion, I made the 45-minute drive to find her. There she was, not with her colleagues, but with her boss, his arm around her. Their shock at seeing me was palpable. She hurried by, and my sarcastic retort about just arriving did nothing to cut the tension. She insisted she was just leaving, but I stayed back with her boss, who was visibly drunk and surprisingly open. He lamented his own marriage woes, unaware of the irony as he spoke to the husband of his affair partner. When he mentioned the topic of cheating, I played along, saying I hadn't caught my wife but wouldn't react well if I did. Meanwhile, my wife kept calling him, a detail that struck me as odd. After he abruptly left, presumably for the bathroom, but actually leaving the bar, I returned home, filled with questions. Her excuse that she should have told me he was there too did little to ease my suspicions. It was a friend's suggestion to check our phone records that truly opened my eyes. The extent of their communication, Monday through Friday after work, was laid bare on the phone bills stretching back 2 years. Her explanation was she needed to report end of day numbers to him. It was a flimsy excuse given her non-salaried status and the legal implications of working off the clock. I was determined to uncover the truth. Recording their conversations seemed the only way to get the proof I needed. My heart was heavy with the betrayal, but I knew I couldn't confront her without undeniable evidence of their affair. The methods I used to uncover the truth aren't something I'm keen on sharing, but the outcome was heart-shattering. Among the recordings, one conversation in particular felt like a knife twisting in my gut. She was talking to her cousin, not just about the thrill of the affair, but mocking the very foundation of our life together. She laughed about how naive I was to believe her end-of-day calls were anything but a cover for their rendezvous. They spoke of laying low, convinced they could navigate this deceit with cleverness and caution. Their words laced with the confidence of those who believe they're outsmarting the world. Then there was the conversation between her and her boss, filled with declarations of love and mutual admiration. It wasn't just about the excitement or the secrecy, it was deeper, more personal. They were candid about their feelings, about what they brought to each other's lives. Hearing it firsthand, there was no room for doubt. They were completely entangled in each other's lives, emotionally, and physically. Anger, confusion, and a sense of betrayal swirled within me. I contemplated every possible response. Should I expose them to their HR department, pointing out the unprofessional foundation beneath my wife's recent promotion? The thought of revenge was tempting, but I was lost on where to start. In the end, I took a step that felt both radical and necessary. I reached out to his wife. With a bit of detective work and the enthusiastic assistance of a friend who's drawn to drama, I found her on LinkedIn and waited anxiously for her response. When she finally called, it was a conversation filled with shock, validation, and a shared sense of betrayal. We pieced together timelines and discovered the depth of their deceit. Fueled by our mutual pain, we confronted them over a four-way call. Despite the undeniable evidence, they denied everything. It was a stark revelation of their willingness to lie, not just to us, but to themselves and each other, even in the face of irrefutable proof. After all the denials, they finally admitted the truth. Now, I'm standing at a crossroads, questioning every possible outcome. Do I stay for the sake of our children, ensuring they grow up in a united family? Or do I leave, considering my past transgressions paid in full by this betrayal? She's pleading for another chance, her words a mix of regret and promises of fidelity. Yet, I've taken the step to move out, maintaining only the routine of taking our kids to school each morning as a semblance of normalcy. The complexity of her continuing to work under him adds layers of doubt to her assurances that it won't happen again. How can I trust her words when she's allowed another man into her heart, and more, for over 2 years? The betrayal isn't just about the physical act, it's the emotional investment in someone else, a shared life built on lies. The dilemma now is whether there's any foundation left to rebuild on. Or, if this is the sign to start anew, free from the toxicity that seeped into every corner of our marriage. The possibility of keeping the district manager accountable also looms over me. Should his professional life reflect his personal failures? I'm at a point where I need to decide not just for myself, but for my children's future. Is there a way to salvage a relationship from the ruins of deceit, or is it healthier for everyone to part ways? The path to forgiveness seems fraught with the potential for more hurt, yet the idea of a fresh start is equally daunting. If anyone has navigated these treacherous waters and come out the other side with their family intact, your advice would be invaluable. The saying goes that 2 wrongs don't make a right, and I'm living proof of its truth. I'm here, open and searching for guidance on how to proceed from this junction in my life.